Hi everybody, this is Andy Stewart with ActiveG, and I'm going to take you through a quick demo of ActiveG MapEngine and our latest version of it that is designed for devices. And so I'm going to first start out here and just log into the device and click Safari icon here to launch Safari as the browser. And then you should have a link that takes you to ActiveG MapEngine, and once you get to that screen, you can log in with your Maximo user ID. So I've got mine saved here. So I'm just going to use my Touch ID to log in and get that saved password. And then here we go, you're in the application. And this is a little bit different than the desktop experience. It's the same application, whether you're logging into the desktop or the mobile phone, but we just present you different screens at the beginning because of the form factor that we have in the phone. So you'll see here we've got a list of work orders, and this list we're calling My Work. You'll hear it says My Work, and the My Work list is defined by a query that is set by the configuration of MapEngine on the background or in the back end. And so you should talk to your system administrator. They'll tell you what that query is for your system so that you can know what you should expect to see in this list. But in this case, it's probably work, for the next couple of weeks for me as a user that's assigned to the lead field in those work order application. So, and these are open work orders. We're not showing closed work orders in this case. Yours might be a little different, but in general, that's kind of what I think most people are using. So just to kind of orient you as to what goes on the screen in this My Work section, you have a list, and you'll notice in the list we have an icon here for a map. So that's how you can get to see where these work orders are on the map. So if I click on this first work order 1290, just the text, if I just click on the text right here, it's going to take me to this window where I have more detail about the work order. So if this work order had start and finish information, you'd see it in those fields there. And then it presents us with some editing options, and I'll review that in a minute. The other thing is we also have a start or a paging option here that allows you to page through the work orders. So we're looking at one of 77 work orders. Looks like I got a lot of work to do. But if I hit that right arrow, it now takes me to the second work order, to the work order, and so forth. Or if I want to go back to my general list, I just tap this option here at the top and return to the list. And then if you want to tap on this map icon for 1290, that then opens the map and takes me to a summary of the work order. So you see the work order summary here with the description and the work order number. You can, of course, page through these as well. And so now you see as I'm hitting the right arrow, it's paging to the different locations on the map for those different work orders. So it gives you a sense for what the area is going to look like that you're working in. And then, of course, if you want to see the details, you click right here, and then that shows you the details. So pretty straightforward. This is the card, or the tooltip as we call it, in the standard desktop version of the app experience. But we just made it so that it's fills the screen in this case. So I'm going to close this option right in the X at the top, and then again I can close this X, and it will just completely to the map. Now before I get to any more details on the map, let me show you how you can either create or update an existing work order. So you can either do this from, let's start from your My Work tab. Let's say I want to update this test work order for manholes 1290. I just tap the work order here, and then I'm the edit option down here, and that brings up my form that I can use to modify this work order. And so you see I have my asset and location fields, I have the description, and then the work type is not filled out, so I could tap drop-down menu, and on the iPhone, I'm presented with my work type options here. So I'm going to call this corrective maintenance and hit done. And then the status is here. We could call this now maybe in progress. So we can do in progress and hit done. We can assign it to a work group. Let's just call it maintenance. Done. And the lead here, we could assign, I've got a couple of people in that group. Let's assign this work order to Wilson. So this is going to, now drop off my list potentially because I've assigned it to somebody else. And I'm going to hit submit. So that work order is updated. Still going to show on the map. So if I tap on the map again, and I see work order 1290 here, I can hit replace this list, and that'll select the option here. Now if I go back in, you can see more detail. So we've got Wilson now as the person assigned to do the work, it's corrective maintenance, and so forth. And I put it on in progress, so the actual start date has now been populated. You can also add work logs to this, or labor or tools, depending on your configuration at your site or company. You might not have some of these enabled. It just depends on what your system administrator is really trying to track. So I'm just going to show you logs right now. If you click on logs, you can choose the type that you want to create. So I'm just going to create a straight up work log. Oh, let's get this out of the way. Hit done there. And then a type of summary, like, what should we say? Had to dig deeper than expected. And then of course you could type any details that you want there. One thing that's nice about the iPhone is you can use this microphone option down here. So you can hit the button and start saying things, and those things get recorded here in the details, and that's just the way this works. So once I hit done, then I've transcribed that information. And if you're satisfied with that work log, you can hit submit. And so that's been now added to the work order as well. So you'll see the log here at the top, and you can go ahead and create more log information if you want. All right. So that's the first way that you could edit the work order. Now let me show you how to just create a work order brand new. We have some buttons up here at the top of the My Work list for a plus, a refresh, and closing. So the close just closes this list and reveals the map. And then the refresh refreshes this list in case Maximo has changed. Now, if I hit this plus button, I'm going to add a new work order. So let's do that. And so here's this new work order that I'm going to create. And you can type a number in here. So if you type something that isn't real, you're going to get an error, and it's just going to notify you here that that's not a real asset, or location. Same thing works. Let's erase that and type a real number. I think a real number is 11,200. And then just tap off somewhere else, and you see that that's put in an HVAC system, and then you could go on and create work orders from there. So you can create work here that's either mappable or not, and so this is a non-mappable thing because we don't have this HVAC information on the map, and that's okay. But you can create a description, fill it out, just like the rest of the work orders that we've seen. So I'll just say fix the air conditioner, and let's save it. Let's sit down here and hit submit. Now you notice when I try to hit submit, it's telling me, hey, there's a field that needs to be filled out because that's a required field. So the work type is required. So let's choose corrective maintenance. And now let's hit submit and see what happens there. Okay, so that work order has been created. And we show you the details even though it's not visible on the map. So that's the way to create a work order without having it be mappable. Now, if you want to create something that's mappable, like on an asset that you can see on the map, let's do that. So I'm going to close this little peek window that we're seeing. And then you can just tap on any of these assets for information about them. So I'm going to zoom into this one. Okay, and so I've tapped on that gate valve and it brings up the information on the valve. And now if I click here for details, I get the screen that's the information about the gate valve, and then I can just create a work order. So if you hit create work order, it's now populated the gate valve, asset number, and its location, and then you can do the rest of the things that you need to do to create the work order. So pretty simple. Again, tap on the map. I could do that one more time. You tap on the map, pull up the asset, click here for details, and then create work order. And it's just like that. If you have an existing work order like this that you want a different asset for some reason, you can click on this little mapping button and go back to the map and choose, instead of the, if I don't want the valve, but I want the water line. Let's zoom into the line a little bit here. There we go. And it says, hey, you get a little notification that says this asset is different than your current location. Do you want, or the location on this asset is different than your current location. Do you want that? I do, so I'm gonna say yes. And now you see that the water lines have been filled out. Okay, so we've talked about how to create, update existing work orders. Let me show you a little bit more about the general overall mapping capabilities. So the way that I'm navigating around this map is I'm just using 2 fingers and I'm either pinching or zooming. So pinching is pulling your fingers together while both on the map. Zooming is just having 2 fingers and stretching your fingers out. And so that's creating this zoom effect. And then you can get into the area that you want to deal with. And as I mentioned, you can tap on assets and pull up information about those assets and so forth. Now I'm just going to go through these buttons at the top so that you know what they do. So I'm going to talk about this first button. This is the Map Selected Features button. So let me tap that. But first notice that I have one thing selected on the map. Down here it says 1 of 1. I have this downtown clean out selected. So now when I click this menu item, it's the Map Selected Features list, and it tells you what things you have selected on the map. Well, I only have one thing right now, so this list seems pretty useless in that case. But we have a whole bunch of buttons down here in the Map Selected Features list, and because we may want to select more than one item. So this button here with the Polygon on it is the thing I want to grab. I'm going to touch on that, and it takes me to the map, and now you can see I'm in this Polygon drawing mode. And so I can draw a polygon to lasso or select things. And so now I can choose from this list of things that I'm being presented what to select. And you can choose one item, or you can choose many different asset types. So I could get water lines and gate valves and cleanouts, or I might just want cleanouts. And so let's just go with cleanouts. And so now if I tap off, just like right here, I'm still in the polygon drawing mode. So as soon as I start, if I tap and then drag my finger, I can circle effectively those cleanouts that are on the map. And now I have 5 cleanouts selected. So the reason that's useful is that for other advanced scenarios, you may want to create work orders on all of those cleanouts all at once. And there's other videos that show you how to do that. Those are all accessed through this button right here, the gear. But watch a different video that we have in support.activeg.com that will tell you how to do that. But from this view, you can also tap on the first one, and then you can see you can page through the different items. And so the map is centering on the thing that we care about the most, or at the time that we're looking at, and you can get those details. You can also click for details and page through those things again and see the GIS information that's presented there. So it's a way to look at certain specific assets all at once. Okay, what I want to do now is I I want to show you how to navigate and zoom to specific areas that you've saved. That's what this button is right here. It's the Bookmarks option. And so if I click on it, you'll see I have a list of different places. So if I tap Home Vicinity, that takes me to the place where my map initially loads when I log into MapEngine. You can change that just by like panning around or zooming back and saying, oh, I want this to be my new area. And then if you go back to the option again, you see that I have here a save button. So if I hit save, that becomes my home. So, you know, no matter where I move, if I shift over into West Texas and then hit Home Vicinity, it brings me back to that area. And you can do this with anything. So if there's a specific area on the map that you like, you can zoom into that space and then create a new bookmark. You type in the information, you hit the save button, that becomes a saved bookmark for you. And that's what I've done with these other areas. Crystal River Inn, it'll take me to the Crystal River Inn. Whatever you want to create, just if that's especially handy if you're working in a specific area a lot and you want to get there real quickly. The next button is the legend, and that controls the visibility of the things on the map. So for instance, if you don't want to see all these work orders, you can just tap on the description or the checkbox. And now if I tap the legend icon again, you see the work orders have disappeared. I don't have all those blue or yellow men at work symbols. I can go back to the legend, I can turn them on again, and there you go. The other thing about the legend, it controls your base maps, your different asset categories that you want to see. If you're not a water person and you don't want to see all the water assets, but you're somebody who manages wastewater, you can turn on the wastewater assets, and now I've got a sewer system instead of the water assets showing. That's super handy. The next thing is the search button, and so this lets you search assets a certain way. Let's turn some water assets back on just because I'm going to search some water assets. Let's grab these again. These don't have to be on for your search, but it helps because when the search is complete and you go to look for that thing, you might not see it unless you have those turned on. So the search option is controlled by this, or the search type is controlled by this drop-down menu. So when I click on it, you see we've got a whole bunch of different things like asset description, asset number, address, street, work order by description, intersection, and so forth. So you choose the kind of search you want to make, and then hit the done button. And then when you start searching here, you could say valve, and hit the little search icon right here, right here. And of course, it's going to do a search depending on, now that was a really generic thing I searched. So I got 3,000 gate valves back. Probably not super helpful to me, but there's some things in this description that would help me to narrow it down, and that could be like by sector. So you could do things like valve, and then you could do a wildcard search, meaning you could choose this % symbol as the wildcard that fills in the blanks for you. And then you could type something like sector. Well, we don't even need to do that. We could just do :5, because you'll notice in the way these descriptions are set up, it's a colon, then the number for the sector. So if we do valve, wildcard, :5, and hit enter, that's gonna bring it down a little bit. We still got 692 records, probably not super helpful, but at least now we've got all the valves for that sector, and your naming conventions or descriptions may make it easier for you to narrow those down. Another search that you can do, of course, is like by work order number or asset number. All the wildcards apply there too. Work order by description, here's another example. Let's try that. So you can type leak and hit enter. And so now I've got 44. This is starting to look like a better search. And again, depending on the way that you're search is set up, you could have different wildcards, or you could search by leaking seals and bring up just a list of those. But the point is that once you find the thing you're looking for, if you click on it on the list, it takes you to that work order or the asset, depending on what you've been searching. Okay, so that's in essence what we have with the search. You can do this with numbers. You can do this by supervisor, by lead. Let's maybe just do one more. We'll just do it by lead. We can type in Andy here. So there you go. Andy is the lead. Oh, I closed that up. There we go. Takes me to that work order where it's me as the lead. So I think we've done just about everything. We've done the map selected features. We've done the bookmarks. Let's zoom out again. We've done the legend. We've done the search window. We've done my work. Of course, then to get to the map, you're always just tapping on these icons off, so because the map is writing underneath. So that's a way that you can zoom out and find things. And then last but not least is the logout button. When you click this button right here, it logs you out of the application and you're back at where you started from. I hope that's helpful to you. You can find out more at support.activeg.com under the MapEngine section for users. And so you can go out there and see more information there. If you have any other questions, please give us a call and we'll help you out. Thanks.